For Los Angeles Lakers fans, this offseason has been hectic. It's been hectic for a lot of other teams too, but especially for the Los Angeles Lakers. We've seen so many trade rumors. They finally traded Kyle Kuzma, Russell Westbrook, now the starting point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. They have so many new additions, so many new pieces, so many moving parts that it's honestly been a little hard to keep up with, and I'm not sure that Lakers fans would have had it any other way. Check me out. I feel like basketball fans just like to see players getting traded, and they absolutely love when their team makes moves. Regardless of how good or bad the move is, sometimes fans just want to see moves, period. They want to see a team actively trying to get better, and trust me, I understand why this is a thing. There's nothing more frustrating than having a mediocre team that's content with being mediocre. With that being said, I think continuity goes a long way in the NBA. I think the trick is finding the right balance between continuity and aiming to improve. Now, before we go any further, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You will not want to miss another Get Like Coop video, and that's facts. I'll be keeping you guys entertained all off season, so you'll definitely want to subscribe and turn on notifications. Oh yeah, and check out my IG. I'm active on there now. Also, I think that I'm going to start doing player breakdowns again really soon. Let me know who you guys want to see for the first breakdown. I was thinking LiAngelo Ball. It's been a really interesting few seasons for Rajon Rondo. If you go back to just 2019, 2020, this guy was part of that Lakers team that won it all in the NBA bubble. He wasn't just a part of the team. I think he had a pretty big role in what the Lakers did, despite only averaging 9 points per game and 7 assists per game that postseason. Playoff Rondo has been a thing for quite some time. There were some people who were skeptical on if we would see playoff Rondo in the 2019-2020 season. Look, I get it. You don't know what his performance is going to look like on the Los Angeles Lakers in the postseason. Hey, whatever. In the 2019-2020 NBA postseason, Rondo looked like he had found the fountain of youth. This guy was all over the court. He was making plays. He was getting assists. He was getting rebounds that he had no business getting. And most importantly, his basketball IQ stood out. On top of that, Rondo understood the assignment. His three-point percentage jumped from 33% during the regular season to 40% during the postseason. This past postseason, he shot 39% from three, and if you go to 2017-2018 to when he played for the New Orleans Pelicans and helped them upset the Portland Trail Blazers in the first round, he shot 42% from three that entire postseason. As a Pelicans fan, it pains me to say, and I'm also happy to say, that postseason lasted 9 games. Rondo is one of those guys that knows what it takes to win. He's one of those guys that understands the assignment. In New Orleans, Rondo masked any coaching deficiencies that the Pelicans had. This guy had a 25 assist game, and somehow I still think it's understated how important he was to that New Orleans Pelicans team. I was disappointed when the Lakers didn't retain Rajon Rondo and Dwight Howard following the 2020 NBA postseason. But guess what? Both of them are now back on the Los Angeles Lakers. Recently, Rondo agreed to a contract buyout with the Memphis Grizzlies. For those of you that missed it, Rondo was traded from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Memphis Grizzlies in a package that would bring Eric Bledsoe back to Los Angeles, which led to CJ McCollum calling Eric Bledsoe a mini LeBron in a podcast. That was kind of crazy. Not saying that he doesn't play like Bron. I'm saying that. Yeah, he doesn't play like Bron. Now, in Bledsoe's prime, he was an athletic freak. I understand the nickname. Bledsoe's still a good player, just didn't give his best effort with the New Orleans Pelicans. I can't blame him. Maybe he didn't mess with the coach like the rest of the team. That being said, in 2021, that's an interesting nickname for Bled. Don't be shocked if he turns up with LAC. I really doubt we'll be seeing any arguments like this happening. I really love Rondo. He doesn't bite his tongue for anybody, and it does not matter who you are. After getting bought out by the Memphis Grizzlies, it was reported today that Rondo planned to sign a one-year, $2.6 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers upon clearing waivers, sources told ESPN. How do you guys feel about Rondo returning back to the Los Angeles Lakers? Even if Rondo doesn't rack up a ton of minutes, it's tough to be mad at this move. Rondo brings depth, passing, IQ, and on top of all of that, he's another vet leader. The Lakers have some young, talented guards that could benefit in a big way from being around Westbrook, Bron, Rondo, the list goes on. Now, like the championship Lakers team, this team has a lot of personalities. I want to see how these guys mesh. I'm going to follow this team very closely all season. I think I need a Hard Knocks series on these guys. Now, I've seen a lot of people talking about the Lakers possibly getting Kevin Love, and I'll update you guys on that in just a second. But first, we have to talk about the downside of the Lakers signing Rajon Rondo, depending on who you ask. Reportedly, the Lakers were strongly considering signing Isaiah Thomas, but I guess Rondo just ended up being too good of an opportunity to pass up for the Los Angeles Lakers. Earlier this offseason, IT dropped 81 points in a Pro-Am game, and after the game, this clip surfaced.
They gave up on me.
The clip went viral and IT responded with, "I wasn't showing you a snippet of me being emotional so y'all can feel sorry for me. My life is great. I was showing y'all that to see what it feels like to give everything you have to something you love and to see it slowly coming back where it's supposed to be." IT's story is ridiculous. The guy is still cold. I know he can still go. And this isn't me saying he's still a 30, 20 point per game scorer, but I think he's good enough to be on an NBA roster at this very moment. You guys can let me know if I'm tripping down in the comments below. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Love. These guys played together at UCLA. 1, imagine going against this team. 2, this has led to a lot of people assuming that Kevin Love may have his eyes set on a reunion. We've known that Love has wanted out from Cleveland for a while. For whatever reason, it feels like the Cavaliers have been paying Kevin Love forever. I'm gonna put his contract on the screen because I don't even want to say the numbers right now. You guys remember that recent Cavs trade? The one that netted Larry. It was reported that Kevin Love wished it had been him and not Larry Nance Jr. that got traded to Portland. The Cavs are in a no-win situation with Love. It's tough for me to envision Kevin Love getting traded because of his contract. If Kevin Love was traded to my team on that contract, I'd probably be pretty upset. Now, if he took a pay cut, that would be another story, because I don't think that Kevin Love is what he's put on film. He looked out of place on Team USA, and he's been out of place on this Cleveland Cavaliers roster. I think that if you're able to get Kevin Love in the right environment, and if you're able to get him to buy in, and most importantly, if you're able to get him for cheap, I think he can be a very viable option, relatively speaking. But you see, that's the problem. Reportedly, there have been no talks with Cleveland on a buyout, nor is there any interest from Kevin Love in doing a buyout. We saw Andre Drummond go through a massive buyout with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Love saw what happened with Andre Drummond and may be a little skeptical of forfeiting a large or decent amount of money. Say Kevin Love was a free agent right now and your team had cap space. Realistically, what would you feel comfortable paying somebody like Kevin Love? Another question I have is, would you guys rather Kevin Love for the Los Angeles Lakers, or would you prefer DeAndre Jordan? Because apparently DeAndre Jordan is a potential buyout candidate that the Lakers would have interest in if he was available and willing to come to Los Angeles. Man, personally, I would love to see Love on another team, and I'm wishing him nothing but the best. Prime Kevin Love was a problem. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm Get Like Coop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.